are live.
Live.
Ba-boom,
Oh,
ba-boom.
don't look yet. Don't look yet. Okay. We're going great. No, it's fine.
Why? Don't look at
No. I was cleaning Junia's sticky hand fingerprints off of my glasses with my shirt here. You guys didn't even
what. Is
see
that shameful?
Well, no, there's no shame about it.
No shame at
I
all.
just wanted to appear more presentable than I am in truth.
Too late. The
Too
damage
late.
has been done.
Yeah,
Welcome,
on my
everyone,
ears.
to the Lazy Parent Podcast. It's
Welcome
me,
back.
Masa, and my lovely partner in crime.
Hey. Crime. Okay, sure. Hello, I'm June.
And it's your turn, so it's all up to you.
Wow, we're just gonna go straight for it, huh?
Well, we don't have to, but we might as well.
I mean,
I'm curious.
sure.
I don't know what you.
Why don't we do a catch up since last week? I mean, we've been away for a week and things have been happening.
Okay.
There's this thing called ice break where you have to when you're going on stage and you're speaking and stuff, there's a point where you have to get people to stop being so goddamn self-conscious, so they can open up and loosen up and have a good time. And usually that starts with a little bit of a share to be like, hey guys, I'm human too. Anyways,
All right. I'm interested. I'm curious to see.
how I'm gonna break the ice.
Yeah.
So how was your last week?
I see
how I did that?
I see what you did
so
there.
smooth, right? No.
How was my last week? Out of 0 to 10, 10 being the best and 0 being the worst, I'd give it a good 3.5.
Whoa.
Yeah, it wasn't so great. I don't feel I was at my best this week.
Okay.
But I made it through, so it's not like a 0.
Wait,
but
can I ask you though, what is a 10 for you? What are you doing? What are you feeling? What are you saying in order for it to be a 10?
Good question. I feel like once you reach a 10, there's nowhere else to go. So I probably would never give any week a 10, because 10 is almost it's a dream to aspire to.
10 is not reality.
Yeah.
10 is the fantasy.
No, but I don't know. For me, a good a 10 would be that I took care of myself. I did all the things I need to do to take care of myself. I was kind to myself. I ate well and I slept well and I exercised and all the things that I need to do to take care of me. And then I took care of all of the daddy things that I kind of
Expect of yourself.
yeah, that I expect of myself, and then I accomplished the goals that I had set for myself that week. That's a 10,
That's a
it's
10.
yeah.
And you were a 3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's okay. We all have 3.5 days, weeks, hours, moments.
Yeah, that's okay.
Something like that.
I'm not gonna beat myself up about it. The next week is another week.
Next week is yet another week.
Get to try again,
That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah. So it's not the worst thing in the world. I could have handled myself a little bit better at some points during this last week, but then it's all right. I did the work to forgive myself. So that's probably the whole 3.5 is the work that I did to forgive myself. The rest was shit.
So whenever Junior does something that he feels badly about afterwards, Masa or I will ask him, are you ready to forgive yourself? And so he'll do the work to let it go instead of just staying in shame forever. And so this week I was away. Last week I was away for a job, and so Masa and Junior were home, just the two of them, and Masa was having a rough time, and we were talking we were having a FaceTime call, we were talking about Junior as per usual. And then Masa was super down, so afterwards I was like, so are you gonna do the work to forgive yourself?
Yeah, no, it's good
and
though.
You didn't look happy about me pointing that out.
No, it's what I needed to hear
work.
though. Yeah, it's I did need to do the work to forgive myself, because I was being a little shit of a human at that point. And it's not, I think I could have handled myself better, but in that moment it didn't feel like I could handle myself better. I was just depleted. I wasn't in a good state of mind to be there for Junior. And so I just told him, I was like, dude, I'm so sorry. Like, you're just gonna, like, I'm not doing so great right now. So you're just gonna have to give me some space. And poor guy, you know, he's like, okay, all right. I feel super bad about it. I don't want to have to do that, but it was honestly where I was, so that's what I did.
Well, I don't think that you need to necessarily feel bad about it because that's one thing that Junior does nowadays as well. He asks for space, like if we're in like some kind of a situation of not understanding each other, then sometimes he'll, before he would just shut down and kind of like his eyes would glaze over, and I would see he's definitely trying to detach from the moment because it's just so unpleasant. And but recently, instead of going there, he'll be like, I would like some alone time. Like, okay, go to your room, have your moment, and he'll go upstairs and he'll figure it out, you know.
Yeah.
He'll
Yeah.
process what he needs or what he wants to say, or and he'll come down, he'll share it with us, which I really appreciate a lot.
Yeah, I mean, I think the positive that I took from that situation was just that it's a good idea for me to be more honest about where I am with Junior and not try to pretend that I'm
Yeah.
okay when I'm not okay, because it gets to the point where I'm really, really not okay, and then it comes, you know, with a huge shock of like,
Yes.
whoa, where did that come from? Instead of me just being like, hey, this is, you know, I'm having a little bit of a rough time.
Instead of communicating, yeah,
Yeah.
along the way, not when everything reaches critical mass,
Yeah.
and then you no longer can calmly interact, and everything is more tinged with the spicy, burning flavor of resentment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, well, good job, baby.
Thanks, baby.
Thank you for taking care of the
We're
home
giving
front.
that solid 3.5.
Solid 3.5.
How about your week?
My week was busy. It was pretty much, it was just I was working, so I was in Tokyo interpreting for what was it called again? The DiMartini training program.
Mm-hmm.
DiMartini method training program to a bunch of Dr. DiMartini's facilitators here in Japan. And so he was patched in from, I think he was in Dallas, and I was interpreting from Tokyo to everybody who were in their homes and offices and stuff like that. And so that was really, it was good, but it was also challenging in a way that I realized that, and I already told you about this, but like I'm a really good interpreter, and when it comes to say like interpreting science and neurology, and I guess just things that I'm already fascinated in, because science is very clean, is something about it. It's so clear and clean and concise. But then when it comes to interpreting nuances, not from English to Japanese, from Japanese to English, because I learned Japanese after, like way after my English, there are just these subtleties.
Wait, Japanese, you just said not English to Japanese, but Japanese to English. I'm guessing it's the
Yeah.
opposite.
No.
When you're translating Japanese to English?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Because English is my first language, I can easily translate that to Japanese. And also, the English language has this, it's very straightforward. All the words are concise. And of course, there is a bit of nuance, but compared to Japanese, the way that the Japanese language is, it's, everything is very, how do I say this? It's like it can be taken in so many ways. It's very soft, and just depending on how you say it, it can mean something completely different. And so I guess this weekend, one thing I realized is that maybe I don't have as large of a grasp of just the subtleties of the nuance in Japanese language, as much as I expect myself to.
Right.
And so I guess that was a little bit annoying. But also it was really good to experience, because now I know where I can put more work into to improve. I would say my week is a solid 6.5.
Wow.
6.5.
Extra 3 points on me, guys.
Yeah, but that's also because I didn't have to cook or clean or anything
Yeah.
for
I
like a
mean,
full
I
week.
think that took its toll on me. Not the cooking and the cleaning, but just I don't know. I had a bunch of like I think that maybe was one of my problems is I had a bunch of things I wanted to get accomplished. I'm like, okay, you're gonna be away. You're working and you're away. I want to get all these things accomplished. And then, there's all the things that you need to do to keep the house going and the cleaning and the laundry and the dishes and stuff. But it wasn't so much that, and I don't know why this week more than any other week I felt it, but just Junior comes home from school and then he's here in the house and like I have all these things I want to accomplish, but then I we need to just do something together, Junior and I, or find a way to coexist once he comes home from school. And there wasn't ever a point where I was like, okay, I can pass that on to you so I can do this, or it's just like, okay, I need to cook and be with Junior, and I don't know, for some reason I think I wasn't 100% anyways, but just trying to do too much instead of just being like, okay, I'm just going to be with Junior, or I'm just going to cook a meal and make sure Junior's doing something that he's interested in or whatever, instead of trying to do too much. And it kind of got to me, and then I just kind of collapsed.
I see.
So lesson learned. I'll take it a little bit more. I'll be less ambitious.
Yeah, because like that's the whole thing about with kids, right? Like you think you have a plan and you're like, this is what's gonna happen. We're gonna we're gonna do this, and then this thing he talked about the other day that he was interested in, so we could do this together and it'd be so great. And then you create this like image in your head of this, fantasy parent child experience, and then the kids are just like, no, actually I hate that thing that I used to do. Now I'm interested in this.
Yeah.
And then you just have to be I guess not so attached to your expectations of the outcome, and I guess in order to not collapse, or at least for me, I have to just let it go and just be like, okay.
Right. I don't think it was even so much that in this case as much as it was just it wasn't even that Junior wasn't interested in the things I wanted to do or anything. It was just me kind of overextending myself stupidly, just like, okay, so I'll wait until the end of the day and then I'll record, and then it'll be whatever 2 a.m. before I try to wind down, and then I can't sleep because I'm all jacked up because I've been like recording or whatever. And so it takes me a while to wind down, so I go to sleep late, and then I wake up with Junior to take him to school, and then I'm tired, and then I try to do more stuff, and then
Yeah.
and then my sleep, anyways, whatever. It's not a big deal. I remember though, before in the past, when you would go away, I'd go into strict survival mode. And I think I need to do more of that, because I think, I've gone a little bit cocky with the situation. Like, oh, I can handle it. I can do a bunch of stuff and take care of Junior while you're away. When the reality is just like holding down the fort, making sure I do the shopping, making sure I do the cooking, making sure that Junior and I have a good connection while he's home with me is more important than trying to get a whole bunch of other stuff done. And if I can handle that and make that my main focus, then with the other time that I have, I could do other stuff. But if I set the other thing as a priority, like, okay, I'm going to accomplish all of this, then all of a sudden Junior takes a back burner position,
And he feels it.
and then he feels it and I feel it, and then I feel guilty that I'm not giving him my full attention, and then it just turns into a bad sitch.
It's a bad space to be in.
Sitch.
All involved.
So what's your theme?
Oh, okay. So my theme today is I just do we have a format? Do we say a thing a certain way, or
No.
just be like, oh, my theme today was I just wanted to talk about I guess something that I'm going, not necessarily I'm going through, but I decided to start going to therapy recently. And so I just wanted to talk about therapy, because I know that you personally have had some experiences with it, and I actually have not in the traditional sense, except for that one session that we went to together.
Yeah,
that was a debacle.
That was pretty
that
horrifying.
was an absolute debacle.
That's a funny story, actually.
Oh my god.
Well, where do we start?
Well, you can start with that story.
Well, I'll tell you, I guess I'll go back even further and tell you my first instance with that kind of thing. It wasn't even therapy. I was suffering from just sort of this. I was stuck in the cycle of depression and sort of anxiety, and I wasn't really doing very well. And so I kind of reached this point of desperation where I'm like, I need some serious professional help. Things aren't getting better. I can't see a way out of this on my own. And so I went to a Japanese mental health clinic. I don't even know what it's called. Like a I don't even know what it's called, but it wasn't. I thought it was going to be like some kind of person that sits down and actually asks you questions and listens to you and tries to diagnose where you're at, and but what it ended up being is you go into an office and they give you a checklist and like, are you feeling suicidal? Do you, have a loss of appetite? And you check off all these questions. And then they're like, okay, the doctor will see you now. And then they take you into this room and the doctor has got this glass table. And the glass table is, has like a, it's like basically like a showcase table with all these pills, just pills lined up. And then he's like, oh, so I see here that you've had suicidal ideations, and this concerns me, so you maybe we'll try this one and this one. Or, yeah, let's just try these ones. Here, take this one, and then take this. And that was my first experience in trying to go seek professional help for mental health reasons, mental health issues.
So what was your takeaway from that experience of Japanese? What would I call him?
I don't even know what they're called. Like, what is it, like a mental health clinic? We call him the Candyman because he's a Candyman. Like my brother, he apparently goes there now to that place, and he's like, oh yeah, he's the Candyman. he's just a dealer, He's a dealer in a doctor's
He's
clothes.
Not there to hear anything about your symptoms or what you're going through.
No, he doesn't care.
He's just like, tell me what I need to know so I can give you what you need.
He's like, what drugs do you want? Here's your drugs. Now, here's your prescription. Now go around the corner.
Just check the right box.
Yeah. Like, if you want this drug, you need to check that box.
Did he actually tell you that?
No, but I could imagine him telling me that. That's
he was
the kind
probably
of guy
like,
he was.
No, not that one. That's the one. That's the good one. And then you get this drug.
So that kind of turned me off just because of the lack of care and concern to that whole idea of, man, I get it now, like, being more educated now. That was maybe 8 years ago or something, 9 years ago. And since that time, I think I've educated myself a little bit more, and I kind of understand a little bit more how that works, right? Is that with antidepressants or SSRIs or any of those kind of types of medication, you need to try it and stick with it for a certain amount of time before you can really understand if it has any efficacy. Right? And you don't know by just trying it once and saying it doesn't work. You need to work with your doctor or your whatever. I guess it's a doctor. And try it, see how it's going, see if it's working for you, and if not, you can slowly taper off and switch to another one. And it's not one size fits all. You have to try different things. But it kind of turned me off, so I just walked away from that bit thinking like, this is shit. That's not the answer. I'm not interested in medication if this is the way they administer it.
Right.
And so that was my one experience for quite a while until I reached another point in my life where, once again, I'm in a situation where I'm like, I need help. I need professional help. I don't know how to get through this on my own. I need professional help. And at that time, I started to do therapy with a therapist in the UK. I don't know. I think I feel like I'm talking a lot.
Well, because you're talking about your therapy experiences and what you took from them or what your
And the guy in the UK that I was working with, it was okay. It was. not
So, but
nice
just
to
to
talk
like
to him.
to add a little bit more background to that. This is not a therapist that you chose.
No, I mean, no, this is not a therapist I chose, but I feel like he was highly recommended to me, and so in a way I chose him in so much as I said yes, I'll do it, which is all that therapy is that
But
you
did you do
don't
like a
go.
trial session
Yeah,
first?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
I
All right,
mean, with
fair.
all therapists, I feel like you don't choose them. Like they don't line up on a wall and you have like interviews with each one. Say I choose you. You go to a therapist and it's you're actively choosing the whole time. You continue to go back to them. You're like, okay, I'm gonna continue to do this with this person.
Mm,
That's you choosing them, right?
I suppose.
Because you don't know them until you have a session with them. You don't know what they're like. You can read their credentials, I guess,
Right, right,
and
right.
what what they specialize in, but beyond that, you don't know who they are until you are in the room with them or on the chat with them or whatever sort of platform you're using.
Right.
Until you're there, you don't know who they are or what they're
Yeah.
about, right? But this guy was nice, and we chatted quite a few times, and to be honest, I just felt like everything was really slow. It was all very slow, and I didn't feel like I was really breaking through anything. And more, I guess now when I look back, he had some good advice, but it also felt like very safe advice. Like, oh, I could find this advice. I've heard all of this stuff before. And that's probably just my ego and me being a terrible, how do you say, patient?
Impatient.
Impatient patient.
Hmm.
But that was my feeling during that time, was just like, okay, and then I guess beyond that, any stuff that had to do with a cult, I just felt like that the guy didn't know how to deal with it, or like, oh, that sounds like it must have been very difficult for you. I'm like, I need a little bit more than that. Like I would say I grew up, talk about my whole.
What do you mean though? What did you need? Did you need more empathy, more like wow, I don't know, an emotional response that you expected and you didn't get, or is it just the clarity around what an experience of having been in or having left a cult is? Like practical advice.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, I'm probably really wrong for expecting anything. Like that's probably not the way to go into it. But for me, I wanted somebody to be like, ah, yes. Very often with members that leave cults, they can feel these feelings, or they can be going through these type of things, and often it helps when like some kind of advice or some steps forward or something, not just like, it sounds like that was a difficult experience for you. I'm like, yeah, that's what I just finished telling you, is
Interesting.
and then we had that experience together where we were having a rough patch, and we were just like, shit, our communication between ourselves is not going well.
Wait, did we go for us?
Yeah,
Did we?
we did.
Because he didn't talk to me at all.
No, we did. Remember, you and I were having a really rough time, and it was a time when we're like, we basically were kind of like, okay, this is not working between you and I. We have too much hurt on each side, and neither of us are really able to go into it or listen
Right.
or hear each other or see each other without our own hurt being activated,
Right,
and it being
right.
really ugly.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of giving each other space at that time, and we're like, hey, let's just not expect anything from each other anymore. Like, let's on an emotional relationship level, let's let go of all expectations of each other. You do you, I'll do me. We'll live in the same house, but for all intents and purposes, right now we're kind of separate, right? And we did that. And while we did that, I think I had the idea, or or maybe we did together, like, let's see a therapist. Like, let's get some counseling, because we haven't tried that. It's one thing we haven't tried yet. Let's try it, right? But during that time that we were doing our own thing in our own corner, we kind of started to like each other again, if you remember. So by the time we actually got to him, we were pretty happy with each other, because we had...
I don't remember that. No. That's not what I. But anyways, okay.
Okay, all right. Well, tell me what you remember. I want to hear what you remember.
I don't know. I don't remember any of that, to be honest.
I remember really clearly because we had been in a difficult spot that whole time, but because we had given each other space and we had sort of like let go of our expectations, we were able to be friends again. And so by the time we got back to him, by the time we actually got to him, we were in a much better place as far as like our our communication and being able to talk to each other and be okay around each other.
Okay, well, I will just accept that this is your perception and your perspective.
What's yours?
I don't remember any of that at all. I know we've had hard times, but I don't think we went to therapy because of that. Is that what it was?
Yes, it
Okay,
was.
well, then obviously the experience of being at that therapist has blown all of that away
Yeah,
because he was
it
100%
has.
focused on you.
He brought us together by how terrible he was.
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Yeah.
That after we went to him, then we were like, okay, this sucks, and then we got closer. Not
Yeah.
like we were doing better. Then we went.
No. It wasn't like we were doing so much better, like we had like fixed all of our problems. It's just that by the time we went, we weren't in the like really
We weren't highly charged.
yeah, we weren't highly charged. We had blown off some steam and we had let go of a lot of expectations for each other. Like we kind of had this epiphany between us that like, okay, what's really killing us right now is all these expectations that we have. So let's just drop them all. Like, okay, whatever expectations that we have for a relationship and what a partner should be or what a partner should or shouldn't do, let's just throw those out the window. They're not helping us right now. You do you, I'll do me. I'll expect the things from you that matter, the day-to-day stuff that we depend on each other for.
Right.
But the emotional stuff that we're carrying around, like you should have been here for me in this way, or you're not listening to me, or you're not respecting me. No, actually, respect was one of the things that we actually talked about, and we're like, okay, let's keep our respect for each other. We actually talked a lot about that. Anyways, so we went to this guy, and he was like, it was his own house, but it wasn't a house; it was an apartment in Tokyo.
And when the moment we walked in, he was like, "You guys have to be quiet because the next door neighbors will complain," or something like that. I was like,
Yeah, or there was
"What?"
somebody sleeping in the next room or something.
Something like that.
And he was like wearing these little house slippers, and he looked like he was not in his pajamas, but he just looked like he was this frumpy man in his house, in a frumpy little office.
So strangely, I mean, if I take this to a completely different context, he might have been sort of like the Robin Williams in Good Will Hunting, very frumpy, an old man who might not be worried about having a therapy session in slippers. I don't remember that about the movie, except for he lacked all of the empathy and skills, just interpersonal in general. Anyways.
Yeah, he was pretty awful. He talked a lot about, he said...
Anu says...
Did he wear
Did he
a robe?
wear a robe? Anu, I swear, the moment we left, he probably just like threw off his sweatshirt and put a robe right back on.
But he told me that I had ADHD and anxiety and depression and that I should be on medication. He's like, I don't care because I'm not you, so I don't have to deal with it. But if I was you, I'd be on medication because what do you want to be? Depressed your whole life? Mm-hmm. Or do you want to take medication and be fine? And then what else did he say? And then he's like, don't you think your long hair is a sign of something not being right with you? Like,
yeah.
Right?
And it was just like everything that he was talking about that was supposed to be the picture of having gotten better. It's like, don't you want to have a proper job? Don't you want to get your degree and do blah 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 blah, like everything that means not quite that much to us, and so it was clear that he didn't understand where we were coming from.
Right.
And then we're talked about having had a background coming from us both being born in a cult, and
yeah, what was his response to that?
Say? So we talked a little bit about it and how both of our parents were in it, and then he was like, yeah, he said something like, yeah, that's how they keep you in a cult, the free sex. And that's what they use to lure you in, and that's what they use to keep you there. And then I was kind of like, okay.
He was a
Thanks,
weird
sir.
guy. He was a weird
He
guy.
was a really
And the real
weird guy.
and the funny thing is, I was talking to a work friend after that, and I was telling him about this weird therapy session that I had been to, and he's like, "Oh my god, is his name da da da?" And I'm like, "Yes, it is." He's like, "Oh my god, I went to the same guy." He's like,
Yeah, I think the reason why we went to him is because he was one of the just an English speaking therapist.
yeah,
And
and he was his specialty was couples counseling.
is that why? Because
Yeah,
you chose
and
it. I
family
didn't
therapy.
see any
Yeah,
of
like
that until we showed up to the
yeah,
place.
yeah. I thought it was a good experience in that it was such a bad experience that it was a good experience.
It was pretty
You know, there's some
bad.
people who don't have much in the way of financial like means or whatever, but you see them and you respect them like, "Oh, they've lived a good life." Or they're an upstanding human being, and I respect them
Right,
for
right,
for
right.
their life that they've created for themselves. It may not be that they have a nice house or a nice car or whatever, an amazing financial whatever career or whatever, but you look at them and you're like, ah, they look like they've lived their life well. And then there's some people who are really rich and have a lot of things, and you're like, ah, he's very successful at what he does. This therapist was neither. Like, he was neither, like, he lived in a tiny
Yeah.
apartment, and you didn't get the feeling that he was living his best life.
No, no. It looked like he was down spiraling
Yeah.
and we just like rattling around the drain, and we just caught him at that last. Maybe not last. I think he could probably rattle for another 10 years, but
Yeah.
it was eye opening,
Uh,
and it didn't turn me on to therapy, and yeah, it didn't give me a lot of faith, at least in him.
no, it didn't at all. And then I also did Talkspace for a little while. And Talkspace, honestly, that experience was the most meh. Like, for me, I didn't feel any connection. Maybe because it's chat, a lot of it, and not so much. I didn't really get so much out of it. Like, for me, it felt like just kind of, I don't know, almost like there's a bot. I couldn't really feel human presence on the other side.
Oh, really? Okay, so this therapy that I signed up for, it actually is Talkspace, and
Okay.
I could totally feel. Okay, so like at the very beginning, they have this matcher um, therapist that's supposed to match you up with a counselor or a therapist that fits your needs. And so I started chatting with him, and I could feel like I feel things in my body when I'm around in the presence of certain people, like just different, I don't know what it is, energies or um, parasympathetic nerve system type of reactions. But I knew in my mind, I knew in my body, I was like, okay, this is a real person, but I had to check because like my brain was like, but what if you're just chatting with a bot? So I asked her, I was like, okay, can you just please forgive me, but I have to ask, are you a bot? And then the chat stopped, because you can see when they're replying. And then, and then after like 5 minutes, she finally replied. She's like, I am not a bot. I'm a real person. I was like, okay, I apologize. I just had to ask, even though I kind of knew. I needed to. No, no.
That's what every bot says.
No, they don't have the responses that are. They don't have. I don't think they have that vast of a pre-programmed response style system. It's not that advanced yet. AI. We're getting there.
Anyways,
Anyways.
that's been my experience, and I feel like I've come into different therapy things with the wrong expectations for sure. And I feel like it could be really helpful for me to do it as well. I think really it has to do, for me though, there has to be some kind of connection and trust. And I feel like it's almost, I need somebody to help me understand what my problem is with therapy itself. Because I feel like I have some borderline personality tendencies that makes it difficult for me to get help. And that when I'm with somebody, especially, I think it has a lot to do with how I was raised, but when I'm with somebody, I want them to like me, and I want them to see the side of me that I want them to see.
Yeah.
It's very difficult for me to put down my guard completely with somebody that I don't feel a connection with, and I don't feel safe with right away.
Yeah.
And I think maybe more than most people, or more than a lot of people, I have that feeling of like the out of like them versus me. It's, from the,
Really? This is very interesting coming
yeah,
from someone. Oh, is this just towards therapists? Because you always tell me, I just assume everybody loves
I know,
me.
but everybody does love me. But it's not the whole me that they love. They only see the me
Uh,
that I put in front, right?
well, I get to see both
I know,
sides.
I'm sorry.
No, don't apologize. But you guys, just as much as awesome he is, he's just as much shit.
I'm just as
Okay?
much shit, if
He
not more
is.
shit,
No, no,
sometimes.
it's perfectly balanced. He's a perfectly balanced asshole and heart.
You have a hard time
Heart.
talking about the good side. You're like,
Hole.
he's
No, I was trying
perfectly
to find.
bound.
No, what is the what would be the antonym to an asshole? Asshole,
Asshole?
head, no, head, head,
Head thing.
bulge. He is just as much as a asshole as he is a head bulge. You guys, it doesn't
That
feel right.
doesn't
It doesn't
sound
feel
good.
right. No, they both sound bad. I'm sorry. But yes, yeah, I get it. Okay, now I understand. Now that's a little more clear. So the people who buy your, not buy, that's wrong. Okay, the people for whom you put on a show only see that and they love you. And then the other people you automatically assume that they just what reject you or judge you. Is that what you're saying? What were you saying?
No, it's just like from the time I was a kid, it was like, okay, those are the systemites, right? Those are the outsiders.
Oh,
Those are the
yeah.
people you don't trust.
That took me a really long
And
time to
then
get over.
there's the inner circle of all of us who we all know what's going on and we can all trust each other because we're in it together, right? That has never really left me all the way. And I still struggle with that. Like when I meet somebody new, I'm like, what do they want? And and I have a hard time. I have done it with people and I'm getting better at it, but I still have a hard time of just meeting somebody and
Trust.
having trust with them.
But you know what they say, like trust, how much you trust the other person is directly proportionate to how much you trust yourself with that person. So does that mean that you don't trust yourself with this person?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's part of the thing. Like I need help because I don't trust myself that I'm giving my full real self to. I'm aware of it as it's happening. Like I'm aware that I'm not fully trusting this person as it's happening, and that as I'm speaking, I'm filtering myself, and I'm aware of that, and I don't want to be, but there's something inside of me that doesn't allow me to open up all the way, and that's not with everyone. There's some people I meet them, I'm like, oh, I can talk to you just fine, but it's a rare few. And I've never felt that with a therapist. I've never felt, you know,
Interesting.
yeah.
Well, I'm having my first session with my therapist day after tomorrow, I think.
Hmm.
I don't remember what day it is. It's Tuesday. So I think it's day after tomorrow. I'm having my first session, and so I'm excited to see what it's like because for one, let's just be honest, I think it would take a pretty broadly experienced therapist to kind of understand. So for one, um, we're both third culture kids. You're TCKs. Like I haven't lived in one. The longest I've ever lived in one location was when we were in Tokyo, for 5 years, and before that I would like move every year, every 2 years or so. And so my identity is created, from so many different environments and so many different people and different groups of people that I've known and I love and that I leave behind and all of that. And I think that's really difficult for the mind of a person who's only lived in one, say, city or town their whole lives.
Hmm.
Because it's just very different,
Hmm.
I would assume, because I haven't lived like that.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm excited to see. But I guess the thing about Talkspace that I really liked is that you can switch your therapist at any point. can change.
Mm.
And so, yeah, I will. I've signed up for 3 months of Talkspace. This is the Christmas present that I'm giving myself. Um, and the reason why I'm doing it now, thanks for asking, by the way. The reason why I'm doing it now is because I forgot.
You forgot the
I
reason
talked
why.
about it the other night, and now I can't remember why.
I mean, what you told me the other night was that you've reached a point where you feel like there are certain things that you can't break through on your own, and so it seemed like a good time to reach
Right.
out for professional help. That you have things that you're talking to me about advice that other people give you.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
See, I
Okay. That's right.
listen.
You do
That's one of
listen.
my
You
redeeming
do.
qualities.
It's true. It's true. That is on the highly beneficial side.
So yeah, you were telling me
Yeah.
that you've been asking advice from different friends and family members and different things, and they've been saying things.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, I already know which one of my siblings or which one of my friends, I know how they're going to react to what I'm going to say before I even talk to them. And so I was in this cycle of like, I'm facing several different, personal things that I would like to have worked out within my life. And they just keep, it's like a rubber band that I just kept getting, no matter how much progress I make forward, I keep getting snapped back. And so I just wanted to, cut that rubber band or like, loosen its grip or get out of it. And I realized that I was in this cycle of every time I would talk to one of my siblings or, one of my parents, of my many parents and or friends, I know exactly the response that each of them are going to give me. So if I want someone to just give me empathy, then I'll go to this sister, and then she'll just give me empathy and absolutely no logic, and that will like fulfill that need. And if I just need someone to give me tough love, then I'll go to this friend or all of that kind of stuff. And so I realized that I was like curating my own my own experience and stopping myself from actually moving forward by only going to people who would give me responses that I expected. And I realized that I was sabotaging myself in that way. And I don't actually the pain of knowing whatever it is that is holding me back is so much smaller now. I understand now than the relief or the freedom that I will feel on the other side of having identified and knowing what problem I'm actually facing internally that is showing up in my external world through quote unquote problems or challenges. And so that's why I decided I want professional help. And that's something that I've been avoiding for a really long time. I've been in like the personal development space for nearly 10 years now. And so I've had the experience of results-based coaching and like high performance coaching and all of that kind of stuff. And it is great. But and so I was able to get as far as I can with that. And also, through books and reading and watching documentaries. And then also there's the different people that I get to learn from whenever I do a job or interpret for these amazing.
Yeah, I would say that you more than most people probably have a lot of exposure to these kind of like life coaches, self-help type of things, motivational speakers, different technologies and strategies and ways that you can improve your life, facilitate growth, all those kind of things, right?
Yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
it's like more than most people. You are exposed to that world.
Yeah, because it's not like I'm even in one speaker's world. I am in so many different speakers' worlds, and they all have different philosophies. They're all tackling issues from different angles and saying this is the one and only. But when you go into enough different worlds, you realize that that's too autocratic a way of thinking, and eventually you're going to crash and burn and then resent personal development or whoever this person is who told you that their way was the only way. there are so many ways. You just got to find what works for you. Anyways, I realized that this no longer works for me, and so I wanted, professional. So I really hope this lady can help me. We'll see, and if not, we'll go on to the next.
Yeah, I guess for me, now that I look at it from a broader perspective, therapy has always helped me. And it hasn't always helped me in the way that I wanted it to help me, but it's always helped me in that it made me know that I was serious about doing something to better myself or my situation or help myself. And that act alone sometimes opens doors in your mind and heart,
That's true.
Even if they're not the one to help you, just the act of reaching out and the act of making that step towards something that you want helps to clarify what it is you want, what it is you don't want, and makes it clear to yourself that you're willing to put in the money, the time, whatever, to make it happen. And things have always gotten better after I started therapy.
Right.
Even though I never felt like therapy was the thing that made it better. But in so many ways,
indirectly,
yeah, in so many ways, I think it did, just because I took that step and I said, look, I need help. And putting myself in that position, just sort of to say
it. Kind of gives you like a level of reflective awareness, like,
Yeah.
oh, I need this, so I need to be able to, I don't know, whatever it is for you, like take care of myself in these ways. Yeah, that was another thing. It's like I don't think I really placed enough worth on my own emotional, mental health to put money into it. Other than books, because it's really unfair, I have to say, because like being a simultaneous interpreter, I get to go to all of these places, with cutting edge psychology, and also really old traditional type psychology, and so I get to see and learn for free. And no, it's not for free. I get paid to learn and go and translate, interpret for all of these amazing world famous leaders or influencers, or influential people in the personal development space, in the business sector, as well as politics sometimes too. So that's a really unique position that I get to be in. And so in a way I was like kind of spoiled, like, oh no, I don't chase knowledge. Knowledge comes to me. Super arrogant. But yeah, I'm ready to go back on the search.
That's amazing. I mean, I kind of would like to talk to, if I were to talk to a therapist again, I think I would want to talk to one that has experience with former like cult members and that kind of thing, because I feel like that's a big thing for me that therapists get stuck on. They just don't
they don't
no have
optics.
Experience with that, and I think maybe it's not as important as I think it is, like the whole coming from a cult and having all of that kind of baggage about that. Maybe it's actually not that big of a deal, and it's my life probably isn't dissimilar from a lot of people who haven't been in cults and have had very similar experiences with difficult childhoods, moving around a lot, whatever. Maybe an army brat would actually be able to speak on a lot of the things that I feel as a ex-cult child. You know what I mean?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I
Right?
can see that.
It's not that dissimilar. They all believe in the same thing. They have a certain type of lifestyle. It's us, like they're inside of this thing, right? They're third culture kid. But it'd be nice to have that perspective of somebody who really understands that world be able to tell me that. Instead of some dude who doesn't have a clue being like, sounds hard.
Does this person have to have experienced what you've experienced, or do they just need experience in having helped people with similar experience to yours through the process?
Yeah, I mean, I think I really crave information. Like, I really want somebody to tell me information, real information that would help me, you know?
What kind of, like about yourself? Or about cults, or about the psychology of followers and leaders, or like what? All of the above.
Yeah, no, just about being able to point out the things that I'm doing in my mind, say this is this kind of pattern that's repeating, and you might need to go back a little bit and look for it in these spots, or have you asked this question, or just give me something to chew on, instead of being like,
I'll
it sounds,
give you something to chew
I know.
Well, you don't want to hear it from me.
No,
you want to hear it from
I
a
do
therapist.
want to hear it from you.
No, I just have to like refine my delivery. Maybe that's the issue.
I don't even think so. I think you tell me things in your own way, and I hear them in my own way.
Yeah.
You know, and
Fair.
right. I hear, right. Like I just
Sometimes. Okay, so like the thing is, I know when you're hearing me and when you're not, and or when you're hearing me and it's gonna go in a twisted way. Okay, so when you're really present, your eyes are clear, I see you, you're there. But when your eyes are glazed over, I know you're not in this moment, and you're already like the trauma response has been activated. You're not even hearing me.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I'll say something and you'll be like, you'll sit there for like 5 minutes in silence, and you'll be like, so this is what you mean? I was like, no, that is not neither what I meant nor what I said. Who are you talking to? I've literally asked you this so many times. Like,
she's just triggering the trauma.
This? Yeah, but that's what I was talking about in the past episode. Trauma, or being triggered, is just an invitation to go in and heal the wound. It opens the doorway. Here's the wound. It takes you back to that moment.
Yeah, but see, that's like something that like a abuser would say as they're abusing their victim. Like, trauma is an invitation to heal the wound. Now get over here, boy. Like, see how you can take that.
That's where you took it. I didn't.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, it's true, but
I like
trauma is also
wait. Okay, sorry.
Trauma is also
go
trauma,
on.
and so like, yes, it is a invitation to heal a wound, and if you're in a place where you're safe or of enough of a sound mind to heal, then yes, it is. But there's other times where trauma is just trauma, right? No. Where you're left with not enough resources in that moment to make it about healing a wound. Where you're just treading water, you're just surviving, or you're just panicking, or you're
just surviving, just treading water, and just panicking. These are all just perceptions, because you yourself are...
Yeah, but see, I feel like that's highly unempathetic to all the people who are struggling with trauma and haven't healed fully yet. To say, oh, it's just a matter of perception. You're just not doing it right.
I'm sorry, I'm just
all
coming
trauma.
From the science world. I'm not coming from the empathetic, like...
Well, whether it's a science world... No, I mean, whether it's a science world or not, there's a lot of people struggling with trauma, right? Mm-hmm. And I don't think it's fair to look them in the eye, somebody with PTSD, and be like, okay, so...
Well, I would never do it while they're having a moment, while they're in trauma. It's not like I would do this.
Right? That's exactly...
But that's not even what I said I would be doing, either.
Uh-huh, okay.
Okay, so this is... Oh my God.
I'm listening.
So this is just something that I would talk about in conversation, not in a moment of someone, like, having a traumatic attack or a PTSD response, because that's not effective. That's ridiculous. First, they of course need to feel safe, but I'm just saying this here in this conversation. Oh, I see. Okay.
Right? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Sorry, I was just having a mic positioning moment. Yeah, I see. Okay, I'll stay over here.
No, I understand you're saying this moment, but that's exactly what I was saying too. So I think we're agreeing with each other.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying that you can't expect people in every single moment of their trauma to... I don't think that's necessarily true in every single moment of somebody's trauma. Like, okay, yes, as a general sweeping statement, it sounds great, but like you said, you wouldn't say that to somebody in a moment where they're like in deep trauma or panic, because they don't have the resources in that moment to heal, right? They're in a place of... They're in a triggered place. So yes, the trauma is an invitation to heal, maybe. It sounds great, but...
It is great. You should try it sometimes.
But I think that's also a little bit, how do you say, it may not be the entirety of the reality with somebody with a trauma in any given moment. It may not be the time for them to have their trauma triggered. It may not be what they need to heal. It may be what they need to heal. They need to heal that trauma, but that's not what they need in order to heal.
To have their trauma triggered?
Yeah.
Not necessarily, no, but it's in that moment that you can get the most work done. Anyways.
It could be.
Yeah, it could be if you have the tools and you have the right environment and you have the right shaman to guide you through. And I don't mean necessarily shaman like Amazonian. It just means someone who knows the way.
Right. Yeah. Fair enough. I can accept that.
Great. My foot is falling asleep. Yeah, so I would say that my experience with traditional therapy, I don't even know if this is going to be traditional, to be perfectly honest, but it's very little. But I decided that I'm tired of hoping for help from my friends. I don't know. Psychological, emotional, psychiatric. It's the wrong well to be expecting a nice, cool, refreshing glass of water from, is what I'm saying. Those wells are dry because for their own reasons, they have enough of themselves to be full up with, and it's really unrealistic to ask someone for something they don't have, and so I'm gonna stop.
It's a lot of pressure too to put on somebody.
It is. For them to what?
I mean, it's a lot of expectation.
Only if I'm hoping for them to help me solve the problem. But like I'd said earlier, I'm not hoping for that.
Right.
I go to them because I know they're gonna help me in their own way stay in the problem by giving me their regularly patterned response.
Right.
You know, because I know everybody has their shit. Mm-hmm. Everybody has their, the way that they have grown into life, their life patterns based on their life experiences. And so if I talk about something, it's also very similar on Facebook. I know if I post a certain thing, these people are going to respond.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
I already know because this is what their highest priorities are in their life.
But what if their patterned response that you already know is coming is actually what you need to hear?
Well, it's not working. Wait, so I'm supposed to stay stuck in these problems?
No, like what if like they're giving you what if you're the swine that the pearls are being cast to?
Oh, I don't believe that.
No?
No.
Like they're giving you the answers and you're just like,
no,
I know.
I don't have such a low image of myself.
I don't know. I'm just shaking the tree. You know?
I do understand, and thank you for shaking the tree. I really appreciate this monkey perspective.
No, like they give you advice, but you're like, yeah, I know, and then doesn't really truly sink in because it's coming from your friend, and know that you know their problems and you know their issues and you know their hypocrisies, and so you can't truly take their advice fully on board because there's too much familiarity. But maybe a therapist saying the exact same thing would be like, oh my God, now I hear you. Because
I guess that's possible because that happens so many times, right? Like for instance, I'll tell you or someone the same advice over and over and over. Like all you need to do is this.
Let's reverse it.
Okay, let's say you're telling me.
Yeah, I like this.
I don't know if that ever happens, so I'm really racking my brain.
Oh, come on. Well, let's play pretend.
Honestly, a lot of the times you give me advice, I take it. I mean, it doesn't. The feedback doesn't come back immediately. I realize the way that I process things. I'm not fast, but I'm slow, and when I get it, it's forever. Mm-hmm. Like just recently, I was playing the ukulele. You guys, I've graduated from my. She's my brushy one strum.
She's not one strum anymore.
and okay, so like, what was it in July? Masa taught me like several different strums, and I did them for like 3 days straight, and then I just stopped because I realized that for me, the way that my brain works, and I'm not going to say this works for anybody else, but for me, I like to set it. So I'll work really hard on it for like a couple of days to a week and then forget it. So I set it and forget it. And then at some point, sometimes it's like a couple months, sometimes it's a year later, but at some point it just all of a sudden comes and it all works. I don't even know what happens in between that time. My brain is like working things out or processing, but like you heard me around the house, I wasn't strumming anything except for my one strum for months and months and months.
Yeah, she just strums one strum
one
for
strum.
every beat. It's like brang,
Yeah.
and then she sings and she's brang, and then she sings again and then brang.
I know, it keeps things simple.
It's it's better than nothing.
It's better than nothing, yeah. But then was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. I just woke up and I was like, oh, I know this. And then all of a sudden I was strumming.
Yeah, all of a sudden she started strumming.
Very fluently too, I have to say.
All right, well.
But let's not push that.
Let's take it easy. Let's take it easy. It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
Thanks.
Let me just say I was impressed. I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah, thank you. That's very kind of you. So, but yeah, it was the same thing with like advice from you. You know, you'll tell me something and I'll be like, okay, thank you. And then if I don't immediately change my behavior the next day, sometimes you get annoyed and frustrated. But then sometimes it takes a year.
Never annoyed and frustrated. So patient, so loving. Just a rock of love and acceptance.
A rock?
Coming at you.
I don't know. I don't get rock vibes from you.
I'm projecting. This is an opportunity for
reflection and projection.
For reflection and projection. That's right.
I'll reflect. You can
no,
project.
I have to agree that you don't listen at the time. But,
I do listen. That's the thing. I listen, I said it, and then I forget it. And then you're like, we just talked about this yesterday. Why'd you forget? And now I'm explaining my process is because I literally actually forget it. But then it comes out through my brain, mouth, eyes, actions at some point. Like I'd been practicing it for months beneath the surface. It's really wild, but it's great. If I decide I'm going to do something, I set it, I forget it, and then it shows up.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It is. No, but it's a real thing. I do see it happening. I've learned throughout the years that it doesn't matter what I say.
No, it does, because if you don't say it.
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, it does matter what I say, but it doesn't matter when I say it.
No, it does.
Well, it does, but it doesn't. Because your mind seeds germinate on their own, in their own
my
time.
Mind seeds have their own
and
schedule.
So the annoying thing, and I have to talk about this,
please.
But I love you, and I really appreciate that you said it and forget it, and it truly does grow into the beautiful tree that it does grow into.
Okay, yeah, nice frame.
I'm framing. I'm doing the shit sandwich. I'm doing the bread of
the delicious
love,
bread,
and then I'm gonna put the shit in the middle, and then put the bread on the end.
Other side.
Yeah, that's
how
what I'm
you
doing.
give feedback, guys.
Is that like sometimes you're like, yeah, so I just figured out this thing for me, and
oh my god, really, you too? That's what fucking annoys me about you. Oh my god, this is great.
And then I'm like, I've been telling you that for months.
Yeah, for months, sometimes years. And then like, okay, and then sometimes you'll go and talk to other people, be like, hey guys, this analogy, this understanding. I'm like, you mean the one I just told you 30 minutes ago?
I know, I had to make it my own.
And it was so annoying for such a long time that I at the very beginning when we were going out for the first couple of years, I was like, this is goddamn plagiarism. You are taking exactly what I'm saying and you're peddling it out as your own. And it was my idea. And then he'd be like, well, it's not the person who comes up with the idea. It's the man who markets it. I was just like, oh my God. I need to actually literally start like, you know, what is my IP, my intellectual properties. I just save it from him.
I know, but see, like everyone loves Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven. Nobody knows about the actual song, you know, because they wore the cool pants.
You know what?
And they had
that's fine.
You know, the
that's
singer.
Fine. But one day I'm gonna cut you off.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, folks, you heard it here first. She gonna cut me off from all the ideas.
That I'm gonna set it and forget it. Okay, you know, it's all love. It's all love.
all love, bruv.
Love, bruv. Oh, no. They don't know what it means.
Oh.
Okay, well, I guess, like, I mean, I don't really have much else to say because honestly, my experience on therapy is, like I said, pretty much zero. I'm going to have my first session day after tomorrow, but I would love to hear about your guys' experiences with it and what to, I guess, look for, as well as what pitfalls I could possibly avoid. I think we've talked about, like, expectations. That's never going to be a good thing in any situation, not just
Mm-hmm.
you know limited to therapy. But yeah, next time we talk, I will have been therapied. Therapied. Therapied.
Theraputty. Oh, theraputty.
Therapied.
You know what? Forget about therapy. Theraputty is so good. Have you guys ever used Theraputty? This is an ad. We're not sponsored by Theraputty.
We are not.
But if you ever want to find something to calm your mind and ease your soul, buy some of that green Theraputty. It's amazing. It's stretchy, but it snaps.
Wait, is that the glow in the dark?
No, it's that the green stuff that I used to have. It's so good. Yeah, so any advice that you might have on what to not look for in a therapist, but how to set up your mind going into therapy?
Yeah, just managing expectations, I suppose. What can you expect from your therapist and what is unreasonable? Because that too, I believe, I mean, like, I think it's completely different depending on what movies you've seen with therapy sessions inside. Because if you're expecting a Good Will Hunting, Robin Williams type therapist, but you get who's like a super straight-laced therapist.
I don't know. You know, I think that's also one of the things that I think for you and I we have to grow into is that we don't come from a world where therapy was accepted as being a thing. I think a lot of people are in the same boat. It's not just us, but you know, it's not like we have a lot of experience with anybody else going to therapy and talking to us about it and their experiences about it. It's not like we were
right. And like whenever therapy was mentioned or if it comes up, then it's almost in a derogatory way, like my therapist.
Oh yeah, it's like the story, right? We were told the story of as kids of the oh god,
what?
Do I even get into this?
I don't know. I don't even remember this.
The shepherd's crook.
Oh dear.
And he's on the train, and then the guy sits down next to him, and he's like, "I'm a psychiatrist."
You're not telling enough of the story for that to even make any sense now.
No, but all you have to know is that we were our only like a point of reference to psychiatrists were that they were evil and bad and kind of sneaky and weird.
It's sneaky, weird, manipulative, a little bit devilish, you know. But also what we were taught, and I'm not even sure if this was just my home, but if this was the whole cult, we were taught that you don't need education beyond junior high. So pretty much they tried to keep us undereducated. So I can see why Grandpa David Berg would see a psychiatrist as the antithesis of everything he preached. He doesn't want people getting smarter. He doesn't want people educating themselves and thinking for themselves. Junior high is good enough.
Yeah, I mean, isn't it, I think Scientology also has...
Did they?
Scientology is really, really against...
education.
Therapy. And
therapy.
I think this is something that's worth talking about, too, is that therapists and psychologists or psychiatry or whatever, they don't know what's going on with the brain.
No.
Still. It's still this weird sort of like outside in perspective, and they don't know what's going on with the brain. Any other medical profession, they will actually look at the organ they're trying to work on. If you have a problem with your heart, they will do whatever kind of scans they need to do to see what your heart is like, or your lungs, or your blood, or whatever. Your brain, the brain is something different. They don't actually take scans of your brain and see, is it a matter of hyperactivity? Is it because things are moving slower? Is there a part of your brain that's damaged? Do you have, do you have...
Well, that's the thing. Like, traditional therapy has not done that.
No.
but that's something that they're working. I think a lot of people, at least from what I hear from the events that I'm doing, more psychiatrists, therapists, the other psychologists are working together with neurologists to understand more
Yeah,
about the
that's
actual,
a good
biology
thing.
of the brain, because it makes such a big difference. I forgot what the name of this guy was. Is Dan or
Dan.
David something?
Dan David.
Dan David something.
Dan David Joseph Jr.
Yeah. But he does these brain scans, and oh my god, I wish I remembered his name. At some point I'll probably look it up and put a link somewhere, but his studies are just fascinating.
Have you heard of this? What is it? Mark Maron does. Is it called EMR? No, EMD. This is something where you hold these things that give you shock, electromagnetic
EMT.
EMT, and then you do these eye movements and things as you're being shocked and looking at memories.
You do eye movements?
Yeah, like certain look to the side, look up, look down.
But that's what like they teach in NLP too. Like,
yeah,
you look to the top
anyhow,
right, and you're remembering, creating other,
that whole thing about therapists not looking at the brain. It's not to knock therapy. I feel like it's still one of these things we don't quite understand. It's so complex and so kind of like hard to, I don't know, like looking at somebody's symptoms and what they're saying, and then trying to evaluate where their mind is at and how you can help them. I think it takes a lot of, I don't know.
I think it takes I think it takes something that a lot of, I think, different medical sciences and just scientists in general have not been good up until the very recently, and probably still aren't, is sharing information. It's like you can't run a test on one specific part of the body and see how it's reacting just there and say, oh, this is the case, because everything in your body, your brain, your nerves, your all of that, it's connected. It's a much larger scale. And up until now, it's like, oh, I'm a cardiologist, I'm a neurologist, I'm a whatever liverologist, whatever they are.
We're clearly very educated.
So education-manated. Anyways, yeah, but it doesn't work like that. That's not how our bodies function, and everything is working in congruence with each other. At least it should be. And if it's not just an issue of the one organ or the one space. It's a much larger something that needs to be looked at. And so I think nowadays, and the thing that was most pleasant to see about this whole corona situation, is that all of a sudden, because people couldn't contact each other, so many different scientists started communicating with each other more, sharing research, sharing data, and that all came together to produce, I don't know how many new vaccines there are now. Is there like 19 or 20 something in the works? But that's one thing. People need to talk to each other, share information,
Yeah, it's true. I guess you're gonna do some talking.
In talk space.
Space.
I'm going to give it a try. Sorry, I see even there, I obviously still have some kind of a resistance to it. I couldn't use my real voice. I had to fake a voice to get through that.
I think it's going to be great, baby.
I hope so. I really do.
I believe in you.
I believe in me, too. I'm not sure about this other person yet.
But they don't have to be great. That's, I think.
They don't have to be great.
I truly believe it. They don't have to be great, because if they're not, you're great. And they don't have to be great. They just have to
have to be able to see through my bullshit.
Well, or not.
No?
But even if they don't, you'll be one step closer to finding something that matches and fits.
Oh, that's true.
It's a journey, and maybe you don't find the right person right away, and that's okay. You just
set it and forget it.
You set it and forget it. You say,
I will be reborn a therapist 12 years from today.
And maybe they help you on your journey of finding somebody else more suited to you.
Yeah, so that's the thing. I'm setting my frame of mind to go in with no expectations, and also like just be totally okay if it's not a match.
Or maybe this is the first part of the story that goes, I tried modern medicine. I went to therapy for years.
Oh my god, this is going to lead me to ayahuasca trip.
Yes, that's what I was about to say.
Yes.
Until I was out of options. You know, I was desperate, and that's when I went to the Amazon.
And then I went to plant medicine. Yeah. Don't worry, I have my own shaman at home. See, he does the whistle.
Yeah,
He's
I do
got
that.
it.
I sing the Icaros.
He
Yeah.
sings the Icarus, and he like if he has a cup of water, he'll like splash me with it. That's the. He's
Yeah.
like splashing me with
I
water.
splash on it.
Yeah, he blows his viruses into my face.
I do the whole blowing thing, and I whistle, and I.
Yeah, and you know it's great. It's super funny. But now Junior believes he too is a shaman.
He
And
does.
so if there's anything with tassels, anything with feathers, he's like.
He tries to shaman us.
Like, can we use this for shaman time? They're like, no, that's my macrame decoration. Leave that on the wall. Stop. He walks around like, hey da, oh, da, da.
Oh my goodness! I gotta give credit to where credit is due. Hey, I do this thing like I do this chant like hey ya, da, da. But that actually came from when we were kids. I think it might have actually been something that that a family that we were living with, I think we made it together as kids, but that chant has stayed as our shaman chant ever since. It's very old. It's ancient. It's been passed down.
Like, you mean 20 years old?
It's old enough. Yeah, it's pretty old.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Like, it's old enough to drink now.
Yeah, exactly. It's like a fine wine. But yeah, it works. The shaman works because it's just so ridiculous that it makes it kind of put some levity into the situation.
Yeah, that's true, I guess.
And I shoo away the evil spirits. I shoo them away. I do.
But sometimes you embody the evil spirits.
Yeah, sometimes as a shaman, it is my job to I have to be two halves of the whole. You know.
You have to be two halves.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course, because you can't not be. You can't not be what you are. Wait, what? I don't know. Anyways, guys, I love you, but I really need to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, I think it's time to wrap it up. Well, folks, thanks for being a part of this.
Thanks for tuning in again. This live here, you guys they're watching ahead of time because it's not actually going to be released on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or anywhere else
Until Friday.
So that's what we're going to be releasing the actual podcasts on Fridays. And the reason why we're doing it on Monday, I already said it, but I'm going to be gone for a while.
Yeah, you're going away for like a week?
For a little bit over a week. I'm going to be interpreting for Tony Robbins. He's doing DWD in Florida. So that means I'm going to have to be interpreting starting midnight every day for a week as if I am in Florida on Florida time.
She's going to be living that Florida life while
being in Japan.
In Japan.
So it's going to be exciting. I'm going to start not sleeping at nights soon to prepare myself for this stretch.
And only drinking wheatgrass.
This is not how it works. We are actually so spoiled. Okay, all of the translators, all of the interpreters, when we go to the events, they're like because we're the only girls. Like all of the other countries are guys, you know, and we're just like this booth of these cute little girls and doing our thing, and we're so kick ass, and so everybody wants to take care of us. They bring us food, they bring us coffee. We are spoiled as heck, and I'm just very thankful for that. You know.
All right, how do we sign off?
I forgot. I thought this was your job.
Oh, is that my job?
That's what you said last
Oh, yeah?
week or the week before.
Well, friends, it's been a blast. Until next time, we're the Lazy Parents. See you later, bitches. Bye. Should we our way out?
No, it's okay.
We can our
I'm
way
not really
out.
feeling okay. No, you can your way out.